Good morning, everybody. Jack Leeson with StartupTrading.com. It is the first day of the month, first day of the quarter, October 1st, about 9:20 in the morning here. And it looks like we may have a little more volatility than we had yesterday if the overnight session is any measure of what's to be expected. A lot big. I mean, yesterday going into the open, we had a very tight overnight session, and we were inside of and it's totally normal that we actually got this pullback, but we were inside of Friday's low to high, and that was our anticipated supports here for the NQ, and that was a great tradable level. The resistance that I had anticipated also great level, that 24,895. If you guys remember, that's the 78% of the range, and we traded that into the end of the day, and then just could not get above, absolutely stalled, reversed there into close, and then drove through the overnight low all the way into like the European session open. And when we did that, we came into the halfway back from last week's low on Thursday and stuck that 61. That's going to be our overnight low, and we're going to want to pay attention to. I'm going to move my discount level up, my green support level to that 50% or Tristan. We're going to want to see bulls hang on to that here this morning if we're going to continue higher. But what happens in the overnight, sometimes it's completely different than what happens during the regular trading hour session. Yesterday, that 24,747. Well, we did get below that in the overnight session, but as soon as we got back above it in the last hour here, it caught a bid. So, what I'm really interested in just kind of seeing what the momentum is. We're going to be opening up right in the middle of yesterday's range, basically, of where we were maybe a little on the lower side. And the question that I have, the market will tell us, is if we're getting back below yesterday's regular trading hours support, and if we are, can we hold that next level lower? Um, you could also make the argument that because we broke that more aggressive traditional, that we have been sold into right now in the last hour, that 50% or just in short. And that gives us a downside target co. So I'm still kind of on the bias of like a two-sided trade. Yesterday was two-sided. Really, there was opportunities on both sides. I'm thinking kind of the same. I don't have an extreme bias to one side or the other, and it's just really paying attention to the levels of resistance and support as they come and what the market's doing off of them. So to the upside, the bulls need to break back above really the midpoint, which is this 24,818. If we can get back above that 24,818, kind of hold and maybe lead us higher here out of a sequence. But if we get rejected, see selling pressure off of the open, there's very well a possibility that we take out that overnight low and maybe even head as low as the profit target, which would be 24,558. And like it is the first day of the quarter, so there's definitely a increase in volatility as funds are positioning themselves for the quarter, exiting, entering, etc. So just be aware we're probably going to see higher volatility here today than we have seen. And then for the S&P, yesterday we did turn all the way up, or we did have that same pattern where it was like Friday's low to high, and that support, great level of support. We traded it multiple times, had multiple opportunities to get long, and that's what I was doing yesterday, just basically getting long that. Now we didn't get that move out of our overnight range until the last couple hours, and we fell straight from that. I'm gonna leave up that 67.28 really until we break out on a daily close above 62.28 or below 66.83. Then my bias would change on the higher time frame where I would be anticipating breaks, maybe a multi-day sequence out of that. But everything in between 67.28 and this 66.83, I'm expecting to just be like a two-sided range. We came all the way back, just like the Nasdaq. ES held it a little better, which has been the case of that full halfway back long. So that 66.83 is going to be important below us. And then once again, that we're in the same setups as we are in the Nasdaq, where that full 50% resistance short from what is now the week's high to the week's low. We're right on it. So I don't know if there's market participants here or not. We've already traded that first test and had a reaction for 10 or so points. And we're going to be opening right on. And I'm just going to let the market kind of figure out what it wants to do. So that's what I have here. The index is not an extreme bias. Two-sided trade is my anticipation. And then just paying attention to these outer edges for really significant support and resistance levels. Now, if we look at gold and oil, oil seems to be quite weak again here today and really could be heading down towards some larger targets. But gold yesterday, really clean move out of the low. We had traditionals in the morning, and then what we're holding right now. So we had this low from 5 o'clock in the morning to high, that low from 7 o'clock in the morning to high, that low from 9 o'clock in the morning to high, and then once we completed that target, that low from 11:15 to high actually traded here, and then I'm using that anchor again is where we're currently as support, but I would not be surprised if this does not hold. If this holds, we're just gold super bullish. If we can reverse here, put in some price action that take out a swing high, fair value gap, etc. Do you think we can head right back up to that high? Because that's what gold's been doing. If not, fully expect us to get back to either anywhere between 38.70 to this 38.60 level. So I'm going to set an alert at 38.60 and 38.70 below us. And then for oil, overnight high to low held, and we are completing a higher time frame. I have it as an extension target from yesterday's swing high at 11:45. We're basically completing that here at 65.52. So if we trade this 65.52s and start seeing, us reverting back above some of these fair value gaps and maybe even into this above this 62, then I do think it's a possibility we swing maybe up to the midpoint. But right now we have this traditional here just ran, or it's on its way to its potential target, which is a 61.33. Higher time frame targets in oil. I don't know if they're coming into play today, but we could definitely come into play at some point this week is a 60.60. So that's what I got here for these indexes. We'll see if ES and NQ really are going to just roll over in the morning off of these halfway back shorts. I think that would be the most likely scenario, is that we're actually rolling out of these shorts back down to higher time frame supports, and then it's just a matter of if those supports are going to have participation. Once again, that Nasdaq level right around 24,700, and the ES would be all the way at 66.84. So I'm gonna let the market, because I don't want to take these shorts just quite yet. So we're not really in any positioning points where I'd like to take a stab. If I was going to take a stab, it would have just been a little earlier on these shorts. But at this point in time, those shorts have traded, and they were great entries here. 8 o'clock New York time, and in the Nasdaq, and the first test there, we've been bouncing back and forth at 67.11. So with that being said, gonna just watch this open, and then I'll have some more comments for you guys once the market kind of shows us what it wants to do. Well, 68 points straight to the upside there in the NQ. Right off yesterday's support level is right where that NQ tagged. That same level that we've been bouncing off yesterday, that 624,747. So it short worked for about 50 points and then the long worked for the same, just right back up. Oil has completed its higher time frame extension target at 61.52. To get rid of that or Nasdaq short draw. Had participation overnight, 50 points, and then right back down. Oil is literally at the bottom of a 2-month long range. Went through that low of a 2-month long range, and we'll see if there's any continuation or not. Oil would need to see SARS at 61.90s. We do have 10 o'clock news. ES is back at that 67.28. Getting above that here this morning would be a good sign, although it's going to be kind of irrelevant until that 10 o'clock news hits. Yeah, miss the miss the train is right, will be. It's just one of those trades. I mean, if you want to limit the first 2 minutes, sure. We were just at the bottom of that range and immediately ran higher. Not a whole lot of time to figure out whether or not you want to take that trade or if you just want to risk it off the open. I mean, the ES was really wasn't at anything I'd want to trade. Nasdaq, sure. Yes, 6 points off the 28 half. Might be waiting a while here for. Want to see that news come out and market react. It's coming out in 15 minutes. I'm not going to touch the indexes until after PMI. I'll come back in like 15 minutes. I'm just going to let the market do its thing. I don't really have anything that I want to do before that newsprint. right back to yesterday's support there in the NQ. I'm gonna stick out with the limit here. Just a lot of volatility. All right. About 5 minutes to that news event. Like I said, I'm really not going to do anything to the indexes. I got limits down at 24,700 if we get there. But this morning so far, really, I mean, two bars of 90 and 100 points in the Nasdaq. That is the opening of the quarter. That's what it looks like. So just be careful either with your size, because I mean, what we were seeing yesterday, an ATR expansion in the ES was like 6 points. Now we're throwing up three times that so far. Risk is always relative to how fast we're moving. Even if you're right, when we're moving 100 points in 5 minutes, your stop's got to be bigger. So you got to decide if you're comfortable with that or not. And if you're not, you got to wait. You got to know that math. Got to know that math or switch products.
You won't feed me. You'll look at her starving me.
Right back up. Just a battle zone. So like I said, no bias, like two-sided trade. That's exactly what it's been. It's a support resistance market type. Don't be drawing no halfway backs in the middle of this range. You'll get absolutely chopped. when you do have these big ranges, I mean, if you're really quick with your trades, you can go down to the 1 minute, and when we get to these outer edges, you make decisions on that. Just because that, like I said, that 5 minute chart, and so far the volatility, we got news here in 2 minutes. Only position I got is, I mean, if you look at, let me show you what oil looks like. So I keep trying it here. This 61.45 in oil is the lows, absolute dead low of the consolidations we've been in for a few months. And if there's no continuation down here, then we went straight up last week, straight down this week. And we have also completed the targets I had this morning. So if we were to just run into that same anchor new high, that takes us back to overnight highs. And the volatility is low relative to the indexes. We are going to have oil inventory report too in CL later today. And that could obviously, that's a news event, send us either way. And we got probably a few seconds. I do have an order out in the NQ at the lower level of support down here at 24,700. I'm gonna put my times and sales on. We'll see this come through. And it's 10 o'clock. No. We'll see if we start a sequence out of this support again. I mean, we've traded this support multiple times in the NQ and it continues to hold. So resistance would take us all the way back up to 24,895. All right, if we push through this, cancel my NASDAQ order for now. Get long the S&P. Mute, 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 mute. So I'm long ES right now. I'm putting my stop a little low. I'm looking for the ATRs of the five are like about 15 points right now. So that's really all I'm looking for is about 15 points. If we can run up towards, we need a new high of the day. I want to see NASDAQ push through that resistance at 828 and the ES just continue. We need to get through 67.28s. If we can start staying above and holding above 67.28s, it's going to give me some confidence for pullbacks probably later in the day. They probably take a minute to set up. Get a timer rolling here for 25 minutes. See where we're at. If we're still dilly-dallying around in 25 minutes, I'm not going to want to be in anything. What is going on here? I'm frozen. I'm frozen. All right. See if the Nasdaq can push through this 830 area, I want to say, and then should lead through highs of the day here then. Nasdaq pushing on highs of the day. ES is behind it so far. Not really going anywhere so far. Oil picking up. I want to see that above 61.70 and I'll move my stop. Really can't get tighter than I am right now though. Nasdaq has put in a new high of the day. I would imagine the Dow's acting pretty well. There goes oil. Still plenty of levels it could run into above us, but if we get a moonshot in oil, it's going probably back to overnight highs. Let's see Dow. Looking at the Dow right now. Just because healthcare. Nice. There's a trend bar now in the ES. Still within my 25-minute time frame of Dow's in an extension. An upside target of 4,600, 46,800. Trend bars in this blue bar. That's what we want to see. We also have an ATR failure. It says ATR down at 945. Failure to continue. We should get back above that. And then, like I said, all I'm looking for is about 15 or so points. And yeah, 15 points right now is what I'm looking for in the ES. And then it's gonna take a while to get back to a new setup, I think. Here we are pushing through the high. We still have bigger targets above us, but I kind of this is the one trade. I'm not stretching for more than that 15 points. We could go more than 15 points, but that was my plan on entry, and I'm gonna stick with it. There'll be another opportunity for me to show my market theories later. Ooh. see if I can even get my 15 points. Come about almost a point away. We'll see how far we can go here without a pullback, and then we'll be able to determine when our next pullback is. But once I'm out of this ES trade, I'm gonna step away for a minute because it's gonna be a while for my next setup in the indexes. About I'm a point and a half away from my ES target. So 32.75 is my target. And I'm still long oil. We are going into oil inventories here in a few minutes. Could absolutely make or break my trade, that's for sure. But I'm plenty I'm up about 35 ticks in CL. Gold finally rounding out. That thing's been pretty slow actually on its low. And you guys must have all your orders sitting in front of me, keeping me from getting filled. Come on. We're right at the end of my 20. We've come within ticks. There's my timer. Been in this trade for 25 minutes, so I'm moving my stop up. Managing that trade. There's that number in oil. Initial move is lower. See if we swing back above that. So move my stop above my entry in the ES. All right, I'm just taking the ES off. Held it for 25 minutes. I still, we're back at the top of the range in these indexes. It came within 3 ticks of completing my target. It very well could be up there, but I don't think that's like. I think there'll be another entry here. We do need a pullback. Let's see what some pullback levels would be. It's just we're at the top of the range, and I'm not confident that we'll break it. If we break it, then great. We'll look for another entry. But top of the range here out of the ES. I don't see any great risk to reward setups. Here's the thing. I'm bullish bias. We're at the top of the range. There's no pullbacks to get in. If you are long, you can stay long. You're gonna want to trail tight though because of the positioning where we are in the range. Now we very well this could be the break through the range, but we've held this top of the range for this is going on our third day. Do you want to be long the top of the range after my entry was also if your entry was low of the range, great. That's still a great trade from lows. We are 150 points off the low in the Nasdaq. So that might be it for the morning entry in the index. Probably be another thing. What do you think about the RTH extension? Um, I mean it's just tight. Are you referring? I don't know what anchor you're referring to. There's really not a clean series because we had that 10 o'clock candle. I mean, this is how I see it as we had this traditional sloppy because of news, and then this next traditional from the 50. We're not through that negative 100. If we get above 24, if we get in through the high of yesterday, I would then pull the 10 o'clock highs in both indexes, and that's my next setup. So if we get through over yesterday's high in the Nasdaq, which looks like we're on our way, there's 67.33 in the ES, then you're gonna go 10 o'clock high to high. That's as aggressive as you'd want to be. 10 o'clock high to high. Otherwise, the ES is a 67.24 half entry right now. And there's your bust to the highs. So I would say 10 o'clock highs to highs is your next setup. 24,868 in the Nasdaq is its 50. ES is 28. Here's the extension. I actually just pulled my order from this 28 quarter in the ES. I didn't want to be that aggressive, but maybe that's the move. Came pretty darn close to my stop there in CL. Protecting my entry in oil. Got my stop above my entry. Got my next order set in ES. See it in the Zoom. Also got one in the NASDAQ. So limits in the NQ, limits in the ES. Targets and stops set on my open position in CL. One trade closed here. Reaction in CL. We'll get it again. Not even trading in the NASDAQ. More aggressive. Gold getting whacked. Right back. See if we can. Gold came off a short there. Pretty heavy down bar there. 16 points. Floating, floating right now on the Nasdaq and the ES. Gold now 18 points lower in the last 5 minutes. Oil trying to push through its most recent swing high. That would change the trend with confidence in CL. And then I think we'd get all the way up to. I got levels above at 62. I mean, the next 62.79 is. We'll see. I mean, we got 62.79, 62.46s, many different levels on the higher time frame. 62.46, 62.42 is a negative 100 of this first traditional auto lows. You had that news event this morning. We, we have held a big weekly low there in CL. Had a news event. Traded a halfway back long, little sloppy, pushing back above. We need to clear back into yesterday's lows in oil, which is 62.03. And that can take us into the range. Hour and 10 minutes into the day. Pretty wild first 20 minutes. As I mentioned, we were going to have more volatility here today than we were yesterday. Levels still held pretty good, but you just got to be aware, like, you see those 100-point moves in 5 minutes, that can be expensive quick if you were not on the right side of that. So you can see how technical we are in the Nasdaq. That's a good sign for bulls. Just coming down to the 38 and literally ticking it so far. If we go straight back to a new high in 10 minutes, that's probably a level that's going to hold for a while. No sweep of the overnight lows in gold. They've already reached. I mean, gold gets those cracks lower, and boy, we're already 13 points off that low in GC. Look at that. Whoa, look at those candles. Wickety wick. Um, I have moved my stop up again in CL. And yeah, if this ES if we continue to hold these aggressive moves, this aggressive bid, we need to really stay above Monday's high. I do think we'll get up towards older unfilled targets, and that's kind of where my aim is right now. It's going to be slower as we get higher. Another leg up. Another leg up. New highs for both markets. We're through the prior day high in the NASDAQ. We've held very technical. So this low really should hold the rest of the day. If we're going to trend, of course, if we're going to trend. I got targets at 47, I'm sorry, 67.48 in the ES. NASDAQ, a lot higher than that. We're all the way up at 25,000 for the NQs. So honestly, if the ES busts through this, the other upside target you got in the ES, I mean, you got 67.62s, 67.71s. So I'm actually going to go up. I'm going to go up a little higher. I'm going to move my stop below that low, that most recent swing low. There's no reason with my theory that I'm contemplating right now, we shouldn't really take that out. There's like there is variations, of course, where anything can happen, but what I want to see, if we don't see what I want to see, that's the thing. You got to ask yourself, like, what do you want to see in the trade that you're in? If you want to see something specific, or you got to, I mean, that takes time to learn. That's why you guys get to watch me, because I've sat at these screens and watched them. See, this is, if you trade and your heart looks like this, you know how I'm doing that? And your kids, maybe trading isn't for you. If your heart's beating out of your chest, mm. I like that rejection on the high. Think we could come back. Taking off. Drop it to the well, I guess cutting it was a little too early there. Not the brass. Still holding aggressive. I might have jumped the gun a little bit on this NQ. All right, need to hold here. Oh. Mm. Slowing down here. We got 5 minutes to the European session. If you guys have any questions, let me know. We're still inside this extension in both the Nasdaq and the S&P. We're still inside them. They're just slow, but holding. Little sweep of a low here in the Nasdaq. If this holds, we should push up to 29,940s. If it breaks, we're going to be losing our sequence going into lunch. And if we lose our sequence going into lunch, I don't think lunch is going to be worth trading. Because then it's just going to be a crapshoot. We're in sequence. If we stay in sequence, we can anticipate the patterns will be in. But if we break sequence, then we basically have to establish support and establish a new sequence, which could be us trading all the way back to the bottom of the range before that happens. So this is what you're going to want to see hold, and then continue. Shutting down the YouTube here in 5 minutes. I'll be in the Discord. You know where to find me. Long NASDAQ now. Medium confidence. Don't love the trade. Don't love my entry. Don't love the time frame. But the trend is still there, and if it's not this trade, then it's no trade at this point in time. And we need to go back up through this, our premium zone. That's the other thing, is just the location of this. Right up here. Bumping on it. So new high there in the ES, that's a good sign. I do think the Nasdaq was ahead of the ES through the prior day high. The ES is now playing catch up, holding different sequences here, but this is going to target, like I said, up into 43s. So Toodles, give this YouTube a thumbs up for me. I know you've been staring at this screen for the last 2 hours. Just take 30 seconds, not even 5. Give it a thumbs up. I'm going to be in the Discord. We'll see where this NASDAQ goes. Indexes, though, so far so good. I'll see y'all on the YouTube tomorrow and in the Discord today.